everybody, it's me, John Ward. I am back with another One Filmmaker, One Film. And today my guest is...
Chris Notarile of Blinky Productions.
Great to have you on board, and really appreciate you being here. And let the audience know, tell them, give them a little history of yourself.
Well, I am a filmmaker. I've been making predominantly fan films for the last 17 years. You've probably seen my work and don't even realize it. We've done shorts like The Nightmare Ends in Halloween, which was Freddy versus Michael, which also had Jason, Leatherface, and Pinhead show up. We did Michael versus Jason, Friday the 31st. The Krueger series, which is a nice prequel series that chronologized Freddy Krueger as the Springwood Slasher before he was killed. The Myers series, which is one of the first fan series that dealt with the new Halloween 2018 timeline and what happened in those 40 years after Michael was captured in 1978 to him escaping in 2018. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff. DC fan films, Marvel fan films. We did a Deadpool web series, a Tiffany and Chucky prequel web series, and God, what else? Escape from New Jersey with Snake Plissken. I did a lot of stuff.
So okay, with that being said, because this could be interesting then. I know I didn't bring this up to you, but we could talk about fan films too. So
yes.
Why fan films? Why do you really like fan films?
Okay, so it comes down to two specific things. What got me into fan films was in 2003, I had made the decision that I wanted to become a filmmaker. I'm like, all right, I'm in college. I'm in my junior year or sophomore year, and I'm going in and I want to, figure out what to do with my career. And I realized, okay, I want to do movies. How do I get the most attention for myself as a filmmaker? Because I already knew even way back then that, if I just make my own original little thing, no one cares. Everyone cares about brand recognition. And then that summer of 2003, Batman Dead End came out, which was a fan film in which Batman fought the Predator. And I'm like, oh, that got a ton of exposure.
Yeah, that was good.
Kevin Smith was talking about it. Warner Brothers was talking about it. Everyone's saying, this is what Batman's supposed to be. It's the comics brought to life. And all the attention that garnered, and it was a good fan film. I saw them like, okay, so he doesn't own it. I learned that, and I learned that it was unofficial, and I learned the definition of a fan film that year, and I go, that's what I got to do. If I want people to see my work and know my name, I have to make things that they can recognize and find me through. And if anybody who's watching this already knows who I am, I guarantee you they found me through my fan films and not my original work. But they may be familiar with my original work now because they saw the fan films and decided to stick around and watch some of the original work too. And that's kind of how I got into fan films, basically. I realized that they were the gateway drug into who is Chris Notarile, who is Blinky Productions, what is Blinky Productions. And it's been a pretty tried and true formula for, these past couple of decades where I take topics and subjects that either have been poorly handled by Hollywood. At the time when I first started fan filmmaking, Catwoman was mistreated, and I did a fan film about Catwoman. Other characters who have been just left by the wayside, like Power Girl, Blue Beetle, I did stuff about them. I started giving sequels to movies that we'd never get, like I did a sequel a couple of years ago to Virtuosity.
Oh, okay.
I love Virtuosity.
It's a good film.
And I did a sequel with Sid 6.7. It was so cool because you'll never get that. They're never going to make a sequel to Virtuosity.
No.
But I did it, What else did I do? I just like doing those types of things. And now it's kind of a cross between stuff that I want to make and then stuff that I know that I want to make that people also want to see. Like I did the Tiffany and Chucky prequel series where you see how Tiffany and Chucky met in the 80s before Chucky was killed and turned into a toy, and how their relationship was and the power dynamic and all of that. And, I built up a better Tiffany so that if you watch Bride of Chucky, you're like, okay, I get it. This makes a lot more sense now, how she just walks right in and all of a sudden he's just like, okay, babe, fine.
So with these films, what would you say are your top three that you've made? Like, what are you most known for? What three?
Shit. Like over 300 movies over here.
Okay, or characters. What about characters? Like the three top characters that you've done.
Well, in terms of fan films, I mean, my highest ranked movies, I did a Powerpuff Girls short film in 2016, which has 7 million views on it. That's my highest watched video. So I think that's probably my most popular because it is. The Nightmare Ends on Halloween Part 2, which I made in 2011. And then Spider-Man, I did a Spider-Man short in 2017, which has 3 million views on it. So 7, 5, and 3 million views for those respective shorts. And I think those are definitely the most popular on my channel. So they've definitely, and again, it's weird because they're all over the place. Powerpuff Girls is literally a PSA for children. Nightmare Ends on Halloween is a slasher battle royale. And then Spider-Man is just a Spider-Man short set in the MCU. So it's weird how people should pick and choose what they like.
What are the length of these films normally?
I try to not do a fan film that's over 15 minutes. I average between 8 and 10 minutes on the average short film. Some have come up shorter where you're in the 5 to 7 minute mark. And then some have gone over where you're in the 15 to 20 mark. But I really, really, really hate going past. Like I have maybe 2 or 3 fan films that are longer than 20 minutes. But I don't like that. I to keep them short. And if it's going to be long, I want to break it up into more digestible bites. Like I did a Darkman web series where they're like, 6-minute episodes a pop when it could have easily been an 18-minute movie. I'm like, no, break it up, drag it out, get more people to come and watch them individually.
Right.
That's marketing.
That's right. And how do you pick your characters? Because you mentioned like Blue Beetle. A lot of people, I know who Blue Beetle is because I'm a comic book fan, a DC fan. But how do you decide on what to do?
Okay, well, that has evolved over the years as well. At first, it started with, I played the Blue Beetle in the short, and that came about. I did a Power Girl short film because at the time, Amanda Connor was working on this limited Power Girl series where it was called JSA Classified, and it dealt with, she even dealt with how she got the boob window on her costume and everything. And I wanted to do a fan film set in that time frame, and so I did Power Girl, the Classifieds, where she had to get a day job, and working multiple shitty day jobs. One of them, she ended up working at a coffee shop, and to mock her, Booster Gold, Ted Cord, and someone else came in to make fun of her. I'm trying to remember who the other female was. It might have been Fire, but they came in and they were kind of just making fun of her having a shitty 9 to 5, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's Ted Cord. And then the following year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a Blue Beetle costume and go to Comic-Con. And I did. And I thought to myself, hey, this is it's a good outfit. Maybe I could get away with doing something else. Because someone had posted my photos of me as Blue Beetle and said, if there's ever a Blue Beetle movie, I should be it. And I go, oh my god, I'm so flattered. This is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to make a Blue Beetle trailer and put myself in contention for it. So I did. And that's how I got to be Blue Beetle in that instance. And I haven't done much of it since. I did a PSA, which was just a goof off. And then I did a serious trailer, but we never actually did a full fan film about it. Then as time moved on, I started pooling my fan base as it would grow. I would go on Facebook or YouTube and say, hey, what should I make next? Post your suggestions below. And there's obviously criteria to meet, like shit I don't want to do. I don't want, because everyone always just says do the same thing over and over again. So I'm like, look, these are the rules, follow the rules, and then I'll do something else. And then that's kind of how I gauge what I want now. I see what's trending, and if there isn't anything specifically trending that I haven't already done, then I just go, what should I do? And people suggest stuff until I go, oh, I like that, and then I do it.
What so with your guidelines, like what would you just absolutely not do? Like you have no interest in doing it?
there are 6 rules to doing this. Rule number 1, I don't want to do crossovers anymore. No more versus movies. I think versus movies have outlived their usefulness. Now I have on my channel, I go, hey, if I can reach 100,000 subscribers by October 1st of 2021, and I'm currently at almost 91,000, so I need literally 9,000 more subscribers, I will do another Michael versus Jason short, but that will be my last ever. And that's only a gift if I reach my goal, because I really want to get that plaque. I want that pretty little plaque that says you got 100,000 subscribers. You did something with your life. You know?
Oh yeah, I've seen that plaque on many creators' YouTube channels.
So I want that, and I want my fucking check mark.
I've seen that too.
Other than that, no verse movies. I don't like doing those because I don't think there's any story to tell in them. It's just literally that's it. I have one toy here, I have one toy here, and they're fighting. There's nothing cool about that. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is nothing I've already done. And if you don't know what I've done, I advise you to go to my channel and watch everything I've done first. It's a good way to engage with people, because then like, well, have you done this? I go, I don't know. Have I? Checked this out. And then they go and check it out. Rule number 3 is nothing so expensive that I can't do it unless you plan to fund it yourself. So if someone is just like, hey, why don't you do a RoboCop movie? I'm like, all right, fine. Buy me a RoboCop costume, bro. Let's do it. Buy the costume. I don't have that kind of money. Well, then I don't have that kind of movie.
Sounds like a good rule.
Yeah. Rule number 4 is nothing so obscure that the fan base is not going to turn up. My goal is to go viral. So, for example, I have been suggested stuff like Ambush Bug or Doc Samson. And it's like, look, I like those characters as much as anybody else, but I don't really know that if I take the time in 2021 to do a Doc Samson fan film or an Ambush Bug fan film, that I'm going to be able to get, more than maybe 1,000 views in a year's time. I want to get a little bit more than that over here, So, hey, if you're going to suggest something, at least suggest something that has a fan base that will turn out for it.
Sure.
And then those are basically the 4 key ones, and then I believe the more obscure ones are nothing stupid. I don't want to do a creepypasta Jeff the Killer video. I want to do something that's like good. Oh, and then I think like basically the final rule is don't pitch me your script. Just say a title and that's it. If like I've done Halloween before, but don't tell me how you want Halloween done. It's like, okay, so in this timeline, Michael is this, and we're gonna explore this character and this obscure. Like, I don't fucking care, dude. Like, I'll write the script, please.
Right.
Just say, what about Michael Myers? No? Okay, cool. Next. Oh, and then of course I always tell people 3 suggestions per customer, and that's it.
Would you? I mean, of your point of maybe saying yes or no, probably more no towards something like this. Like if somebody wrote, hey, can you do an I Spit on Your Grave, fan film? Is that something that you would do, or would the subject matter be a little kind of...
It's not the subject matter. In this case, it would basically be how notable is the brand itself. So I Spit on Your Grave is kind of borderline mainstream and obscure. There is a horror fan base for it, but it's so specific that I don't know the title alone would, if you saw it, like how many people are searching for I Spit on Your Grave on YouTube versus how many people are searching for Michael Myers. And I kind of go, that's how I really pick and choose my subjects. I did a John Wick movie, and I know that John Wick is a very searchable title, especially since he's consistently making movies. There have not been a whole lot of I Spit on Your Grave movies. There was obviously, the very first one, like in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they did a sequel like 30 years later, and I think they may have done a remake in the 2010s, and that's kind of it, So for those types of people, I say, you fund it, I'll film it.
Yeah, I guess kind of where I'm going with like the I Spit on Your Grave would be like the whole film it's rape revenge. So is that kind of like off
I don't show
the
rape.
board?
I don't want to show rape. I will show the revenge part, but I will not show the violation. I don't think that serves a purpose anymore in cinema. I believe if you show the events leading up to it and then everything that happens after it, fine. But I don't feel that we as an audience need to see sexual assault anymore. I
I
don't
agree.
think there's
Yeah.
anything that I, as a filmmaker, can show you that A, hasn't been done, and B, will make you go, oh, this is terrible, because it already is terrible. Who watches a rape and says, yeah, fucked up people, but I'm not one of them.
Right, right. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people do, yeah, that they just don't want to see anymore, and that's
Right.
that's because it's such an uncomfortable subject, especially within the film. That's kind of why I brought it up. Like, would anybody ever do this as a fan film? Because I've never heard of it.
I already technically tackled a similar scenario. I did a short film, an original short film in 2015 called Pretty Little Killers, in which the protagonist was raped by this man. We don't see any of it. We just hear the character talking about it, and time has passed, obviously. And there is a revenge story where her friend, who's psychotic, is like, hey, guess what? I found your rapist and I have him tied up in the basement. Let's go torture him, And then it's just like, what are you doing? Type movie. And it's are you going to kill him? Do you want me to kill him? How do you want to handle the scenario, right? But I don't feel the need to show any of that. I think words are powerful enough. So that's the only way I would tackle that sort of subject, is literally just through characters talking and emoting about what happened. But there's no need for any sort of visual aid in those scenarios anymore.
Okay. And so what are your budget for on these fan films, or do they vary per project?
They're usually diddly squat, but recently what I've done is I try to make the fan film for between $500 to $1,000. Those are usually my budgets for these movies, because I figure if I can't do it for that kind of price, then what am I doing? Now, I've seen plenty of big budgeted fan films, and I don't have a lot of respect for them personally. I'm not naming names, but I feel that if you need more than $1,000 to make your fan film, especially if it's just a slasher and you're not doing something epic like Star Wars, you're wasting money. If you have $100,000 for a fan film, you have $100,000 for an original feature that you could sell and profit from. Hell, if you have $20,000 for a fan film, you have $20,000 towards an original movie that you can sell and profit from. I know this because I made my very first feature for $20,000. It's not that hard if you know how to budget and you're a skilled enough filmmaker. And I did my first feature 14 years ago. Okay, so imagine me now filming back then with that the knowledge that I currently have. I would have done way better. So I don't have a whole lot of respect for these big budget fan films anymore, because you're basically just making an independent film. And I don't believe that those should be for fan films anymore. The whole point of a fan film is just basically doing it for literal pennies and showing everybody how much better you are than what Hollywood has done in the past.
So what would be your what's your equipment like? Like how do you film these?
I film them with this little guy right here. This is a Canon 5D Mark II. Not a 3, not a 4. It has regular 1080i, so it's barely HD, but I'm shooting for YouTube. I'm not filming and putting stuff on Blu-ray. My audio equipment is this. This is a Tascam, which I literally hand-stitched my own little toupee for, and for wind resistance, and it works like a charm. This records all my audio. Those two things on a little Varicam hand rig that you just kind of hold like this is how I make my movies. And then for my lights, I literally use closet lights and garden lights. They come in handy, and if you know how and where to place the light, you can get really good dramatic lighting. That's kind of it. Everything else I put is towards costumes, and the people who work for me, because I'm a very fast filmmaker, they agree to, work for free in exchange for whatever it is I'm doing for them, whether they like, I'm writing a script and I go, what kind of role do you want for your reel? And they go, I want this particular role. And I go, all right, done. And I give them exactly what they asked for, or I give them amazing footage they can put on their reel and get better paid work. But I feel that, and as much as I would love to be able to pay my actors, they know going into a fan film, well, you can't, because it's a fan film. So why have the bloated budget when and pretend to be an actual production when you're technically not? Because the whole point of being in an actual production is, well, we're going to sell this at the end and we're going to make money and everyone's going to be happy and we're all going to do this again next year. It doesn't work like that with fan films.
That was going to be my next question is, so who are fan films for, and are there festivals for fan films?
No, I don't know. Well, I mean, there may have been, like, there are comic conventions that have fan screenings, but ultimately you cannot profit legally from a fan film. Now, people have tried and managed to get around it, but that's a gamble, and I don't ever want to take that gamble. I'm not going to sell my fan films and or do the whole, donate. I used to have some DVDs floating around conventions, and some of them still are out there, but those are copies that I gave to people and they just did it. I don't make a cent off of my fan films. And I feel that for me, fan films are a calling card. I'm a filmmaker and I want Hollywood to hire me and say, oh, look what this guy did for nothing. Imagine what he could do with a budget. Let's get him in and have him make our thing, because it's a proof of concept essentially. So, I wanted to direct a Freddy Krueger prequel movie for New Line. So I made a 6-part web series and wrote a script and said, hey, Hollywood, this is it. Do you like it? Hire me. And they obviously didn't. They were stupid and they never made a Freddy thing. So fuck it, whatever. But that's what I do with fan films basically. And yeah, it gets the attention. Fans watch it and then they go, oh my God, this is great. And fan films have definitely allowed me to be guests at shows or give me some name brand recognition, and I appreciate all of that. But I don't think fan films are for selling. Fan films should be free. And I feel that anybody that sells a fan HD experience, or you're just giving it up for free on YouTube, you should not be charging for fan films. And I think any decent human being doing what I'm doing knows full well that it's wrong to profit from a fan film.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know of any other way of getting around that. I have heard of people being sued and people trying to sell their copies at conventions and stuff. And we all know there's spies. There are spies that go to these conventions for work for Warner Brothers or New Line or whatever it is. And
I feel that specifically with Friday the 13th, there's been a lot of fair game right now because of the legal battle that's going on between Victor Miller and I guess New Line or Paramount or whomever, with whatever corporate entity had Friday the 13th. And I feel that in that chaos, there have been certain people who have been really profiting off of Jason when they should not. And I don't condone it, honestly. I really don't. Desperate to get more of the stuff that they like. They'll get anything. They'll take anything. And it upsets me greatly that they're doing that. I feel that what they're making should just be free and keep it at that. Nobody should be giving out Blu-rays. Nobody should be free downloadable image. If somebody really wants a poster, they can download the image and go to Kinko's and print out their own damn poster.
Right. What about having original? Because I know some fan films have done this, having the actors that were from the films in their fan films.
I'm all for that. If you can get I've done that myself. If you can get somebody who is in the original series to be part of your movie, fantastic. Go for it. I had Michael Edwards, who played 2029 Skynet short film. It was awesome. I got to meet him. He was a great actor. He totally played a 75-year-old John Connor, and it was fantastic. I had never heard the guy speak before in my life, so I was like, please have a cool voice, and he did, you know, because you see him in Terminator 2, and he's just kind of just standing there stoically with the binoculars, and that's it. Like that's it, right? He did a lot more apparently, but they cut all of it. And so, you know, when I reached out to him, I'm like, I really hope he just doesn't like, you know, hey, my name is Michael Edwards. I was, you know, John Connor. I was really hoping we weren't going to get that. But he showed up. He's like, yeah, that's right. I'm Michael Edwards. I go, fantastic. I love the voice you're in, dude. You know, and it's fine. That's totally cool if you get somebody, because the whole point of making a fan film is to get attention, to be deemed canon by the fans is the best achievement a fan film can get. So yeah, getting an alumnus as part of your movie is a perfect thing and totally okay by me. I've had people watch my Skynet short film and go, literally today I read a comment, this is canon for me. This is how Terminator should have ended. And I'm like, well, my job here is done. You know, if that's how you feel, then that was my job, because I'm happy. But yeah, just don't profit from it.
Yes, some of these fan films are better than the sequels that come out, and I don't get that.
And that is the goal. That's the goal of the fan film, is to succeed where the official installment failed. You know, you could literally, like, okay, I'm not going to brag right now, but my talking about the Skynet short, there have been 30 years worth of shitty Terminator sequels, and every single one of them were to lead to a brand new trilogy that never got made. So you're going to have Terminator 3, and then they did, and that may have led to its own Terminator 4. But then they said, all right, well, now we'll try a prequel with Terminator Salvation. And that was going to lead to its own trilogy. Didn't happen. Then Genesis, it's going to be a brand new trilogy. Like, they marketed it as a brand new trilogy. That failed. And then they said Dark Fate, a brand new trilogy. That failed. And yeah, you can like those movies, absolutely. But if the movies suck and a fan film comes along, a little tiny fan film comes along, and that reignites how you felt about the good versions of the movie, and you're like, this is good for me, then fine, cut the fat, stick with the fan film, and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that the fans have come up with better productions, even if they're smaller, better stories. They seem to put out more effort. They seem to enjoy what they're doing more than what the studios do, because especially today, like back then, I get they were stuck with Terminator. They're like, oh no, well, we have 1 and 2, we could just end it here. Well, let's try part 3. And then, you know, that made money. So, okay, now we'll make part 4. But
because you've stripped away money, now you have true art, because fans are not making these movies with dollar signs in their eyes. They're making it out of love and passion. And so when being a box office hit is not your primary goal, and your primary goal is to just tell your story, you're now uninhibited by and you're not a slave to money anymore. So that, I think, is why so many fan films can always outshine the official installments, because they're actually made by people who, A, are competent filmmakers, and there are plenty out there, and then B, are fans of the genre and aren't so far up their own asses that they can be objective about it. That's the other thing too. It's a fine line for fans where you have to walk and go, okay, I love this franchise, but am I getting high on my own supply? Am I smelling my own farts and saying they're roses? Or am I going to go, no, that idea was stupid, I'm going to stick to, you know, the script over here? Because I've had that problem too, not with myself, but with other people I've worked with in the past who, you know, wanted to weigh in on my projects and go, well, excuse me, as a fan, I think the character should do this. I go, as a fan, you are way too close to this. Back up, all right? Right. Be objective. Be a filmmaker. Like I did a Escape from New Jersey with Snake Plissken, and one of my actors really, really, really wanted me to keep using the entire score from Escape from New York. Now, some of it's still good, but it was made in 1981. Not all of that music has aged well. And if you're trying to make a movie to draw in new people, well, you're going to have to update some of the tracks here and there. Now, I mixed in some music from Escape from LA because that was more modern, and I used other music as well. But he wanted like all these synths and everything, and not everything worked. I'm like, dude, the cowbell is not doing it for me.
Right. Well, yeah, Carpenter's even updated his music. Halloween is different from Halloween
Exactly.
2. Halloween
But
3
that's
is
because
different.
he was, as an artist, was able to grow and go, oh yeah, let's update this. Let's do more, you know? And I was still using Carpenter music, but I wasn't using 1981 Carpenter music because, well, I have late 90s Carpenter music and more on. So why not, right? So yeah, I personally feel that as a fan, it's best when you're not you love the property, but you're able to be objective about the property as well. You have to stay objective about it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've had some people come up to me when I say, "Oh, I'm going to do a sequel to this, or I think I want to do this," and this is my own, my own films, and they'll all of a sudden give me like a whole story, and I'd be like, "Well, that's perfect for your film. Your
Yeah,
film would be great on that. That's not my film, but that's perfect for you."
yeah.
So it's just everybody has their ideas. So I appreciate it. I mean, it's
I
nice that
think a
they're
lot of those
thinking.
people they're treating him like a surrogate basically, and I've had this happen a lot. I go, okay, I think we're gonna do, like, when I did my Tiffany and Chucky series. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do Tiffany and Chucky, and someone's like, oh, you should do one where like Chucky meets John and learns how to do voodoo, and then do one where he kills that woman and got the ring that gave it to Tiffany. Like, whoa, slow down there, bro. I'm doing how they meet. You're
Yeah.
gonna do one where he kills Tiffany's mother. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I might. It's not on my priority right now. Like, I have my story planned out. Okay, well, I'm just trying to give you the idea. So, like, if you want it, you can just take it and run with it. And I feel that a lot of people do that. They want to just give you the idea, hoping you'll take it and make it for them. And you have to be able to go, no, thank you, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, make your own fan film.
Yeah. But then I get a lot of people like, "Oh, I don't know how. You're the expert," and I'm like, "I thank you, but you fund it, I'll film it."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, money just doesn't grow on fan film trees. So,
I know.
So okay, well, awesome. Well, that's I think we've pretty much covered everything with fan films. Unless there's anything more that you can, advice or give anything for
I would
somebody out
say,
there.
in terms of advice, I feel that if you've ever seen a photo of what a movie set looks like and think that's what you need to make a movie, you're wrong. That's pageantry as far as I'm concerned. Unless you have an actual hundreds of thousands of dollars budget, you don't need all that. You don't need a director's chair. You don't need craft services. You don't need a truck full of equipment and gaffers and best boys and all that shit, a makeup artist. What you need is to be on your feet the whole damn time, because if you're sitting, well, then you're not doing a good enough job. You need to be able to do makeup yourself. And for craft services, you need to be able to drive to Little Caesars and get a $5 classic and bring it back for everybody to enjoy. And that's it. Because let's be real, you're an independent amateur filmmaker trying to get to that level. But unless you're at that level, don't act like it. So I've always frowned upon people who, I remember when I was in college, I spoke to this girl who was working on a thesis, and I go, what's it going to be about? She goes, oh, I remember this story. She's from Portugal. I know this story from Portugal, and I wanted to adapt it. And I go, oh, cool. So you're writing the script? No. I have a screenwriter for that. Okay, so you have a screenwriter who's writing your thesis script for you. Okay, so you're gonna shoot it? No. I have a cinematographer. Okay, you're gonna edit? No, I have an editor. So can you tell me what it is you do? And she says, I'm going to direct. I go, you literally are coming to this filmmaking school to direct, nothing else. You're not going to write. You're not going to edit. You're not going to shoot. Mm-hmm. Well, good luck to that. But it's just like, I feel that the more you do, the more hats you're capable of wearing, the less you have to rely on somebody else. And when you rely on somebody else, you're at their mercy. And being at somebody's mercy is terrifying. It's terrible and terrifying. I'm getting my words jumbled up here because I'm thinking two things at once. But like, I don't ever, and I've had that happen. I hate it. I hate sitting around and waiting for other people. And I always joke, I go, look, The only reason why I don't have a crew is because they haven't perfected cloning yet. Because if I could do everything, I would. And you know, I would even act in my own stuff if I was able to clone myself, but I have to rely on other people. But that's kind of it. I don't play music, and so I work with composers from time to time. And waiting on composers can be agonizing, especially if you're dealing with a deadline. Like, oh, this movie is going to come out at a certain date, and you tell the composer a way in advance, but then, you know, life gets in the way. They go through personal shit, and they go, oh my god, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to do blank. It's like, well, shit, I need my score. What am I doing? You know, I'm not paying them, unfortunately. So again,
Yeah.
I'm at their mercy of their free time. So I always try to advocate that unless you're in a position to pay people, you have to be prepared to do everything yourself, and that way you don't have to worry about it not happening.
Right. No, I agree with that. I agree. I think all of us at a certain level have to kind of do everything ourselves. And granted, you can get crew, you know, cast and crew is
Yeah.
perfectly fine and all that stuff, but it's overall you're going to be directing it, you're probably going to be editing it, you're going to be producing it, you're going to be
And
finding
the more you
locations.
do, the closer to your vision it is.
Yeah.
You know. Also, the more you know, the easier it will be to communicate to others. So I know how to now do latex effects and makeup. I taught myself how to do it, and now if I ever work with somebody, and I have in the past, I know exactly how much it would cost, so I don't get overcharged if I want to pay somebody. I know how long it would take. I know that if someone is going to be messing with me and jerking me around, I go, no, 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 because I could do it for less. You know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I guess I do have one last question on the fan film. So, is it better than to work kind of off of a big budget Avengers type thing to make a fan film from because everybody knows Avengers, or something that's more, or maybe both, like independent? Like, let's say David Sterling makes the Camp Blood movies, and you're like, oh, I really want to make a Camp Blood movie, but I don't know who David Sterling is. So then you go out and you make a Camp Blood film and then try to get David to distribute it, something like that.
No, I feel that if you're making something so obscure that you might as well just go 100% original. For example, everyone has asked me to do The Crow. The Crow is not obscure. I would rather just do the original story than do a Crow fan film, you know, because I can now just take my original story and sell it and do something cool with it. Doing a Camp Blood movie, I feel that doing it and then hoping that David Sterling would sell it or whatever, that's a gamble. You don't want to do that. You may want to approach him and say, hey, can I make it? But the last thing you want is him to then shut you down and say, no, it's not happening. I don't know how he would handle that personally. I know that if somebody came to me and did a fan film of one of my original characters, I'd be like, well, fuck yeah, let's do something with it because I'm that sort of guy. But unless you know how that person already thinks and acts, it's not worth it. Now, in terms of picking your subject to aliens and invasion and shit like that, because it's too expensive. So break it down. Take the famous character and do a character piece, something intimate, something personal, a side we've never seen. We don't need to see Captain America having another epic battle. We've seen that. Show us a side of Captain America we haven't seen before. Show him going through PTSD. Show his relationship with Peggy. Show him dealing with life in the modern world. Sure, put him in the costume, have him go on a mission, but do a character piece that's affordable for you. That will save you loads of money and time because now you're doing something that's original with something that's famous and notable, and you're not doing something that's already been done before. You're doing something fresh with it. Freddy Krueger, for example, 35 years of Freddy Krueger as the Dream Demon, the one-liner, burned face Robert Englund. I go, well, I don't want to play in that side of the sandbox. I want to go in the other side. And what's over there? The child murderer. Okay, I'm going to go make a movie about a child murderer and have him murder children and remind everybody who there are people who think Freddy Krueger is attractive and sexy. You're all fapping to a child murderer. So, yeah, do something different with something that is recognizable. I think that's the best way to do a fan film.
Well, bringing up Robert Englund, has anybody from these films, actor, director, actually contacted you to say, hey, I really like your film, or anything like that?
Way back when I spoke with Nancy Englund, Robert's wife, he'd seen a couple, and then I have, and Robert actually is aware of not only me because I met him once, but he met Roberto Lombardi, who played my Freddy Krueger, and fans have always come up to him and asked him, and he's commented on it publicly, and he said he knows of it, and I know he's seen it. He's just not saying anything. I don't know about Wes because Wes died in 2014, and we really didn't start making. They didn't start really gaining popularity until after his passing. So I don't know about him. He may or may not have seen it. I know Heather Langenkamp has seen it, and a couple of other alumnus have seen it and everything. Mark Patton's seen it. So it's made its rounds in the horror community. So that's always nice. I don't think I've gotten anyone who really just messaged me and just said, like, you know, great job, other than Mark Patton's. Like, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he thumbed me up one time. He goes, good job on it. I go, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's so now everybody knows a little bit of a history of fan films and stuff like that. So definitely, you know, check out Chris's films, and I'll have a link you know, down below in the comments, or actually in the little kind of blank area there, the little to where people can go check them out. I'm blanking on what that area is called right now. It's not comment area, but synopsis area. Yes, thank you. That area. Box. Yes, and I'll put whatever information is needed. I'll add that there. But my whole reason to let people know for reaching out to Chris was a mutual friend of ours named Jonathan Moody said, hey, do you know Chris? And I said, I don't. And he goes, well, you may want to check this out. And he sent me a poster of Axe Massacre, or is it Axe Massacre? Axe, is
it's
it
Axe
one?
Massacre. Axe
just
Massacre.
Axe. Okay.
With
So
Xmas in the title.
Okay. So he goes, well, you guys have something that looks similar. You know, you guys have these two films that have similar titles, and they even have like some of the same font and the colors and all that. So you may want to reach out to him. Well, I got paranoid, and I said, uh-oh, I don't want him to think, you know, because he may be able to see my posts and stuff, because we're friends with, you know, with Jonathan, that I ripped him off or something. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm the maker of the Axmas films, and you know, and I didn't rip you off or anything. This is completely, you know, it's a pure coincidence. And because I have gotten in, a couple people have questioned me before on stuff, and it's just not true. And you know, just because you make a slasher film in the woods doesn't mean that you're ripping off Friday the 13th. There's like 1,000 different films. And so that's when I reached out and talked to Chris and said, hey, you know, would you like to come on One Filmmaker, and we could discuss his, you know, his Christmas film, and we could discuss mine. Luckily, when I saw his film, I'm like, okay, good. It has nothing to do with mine, except that the killer.
Well, yeah, I felt the same way when I watched yours. I had seen because you didn't show the face of the killer in your poster. So I was just like, all right, if this motherfucker's wearing a mask, I'm gonna have a problem.
And I keep coughing as I've been avoiding this, but I do have my Axmas mug here. So
that's definitely my fun. I'm suing you.
Yeah. See, and that's and this was actually done. I can never figure out exactly. There it is. Yeah, and this was originally made up actually by my cameraman who edited the film. So that's always our fun with it, which I thought looked similar to Chris's there. So, you know, I wanted to just reach out to him. And one of the things that I mentioned to you was, this is back in the 90s, is I came up with a title called Axmas, and just didn't know what to do with it. Had no idea, because back then, like, the internet was still fairly new, you know, was still dial up, and you really couldn't get on films or anything like that. So it's like, I had really no idea even how to make a movie, even though I went to film school, you know, how to pull it all together. And even before that, I have it's on Super 8. They're on the little mini DV tapes now, but I shot test footage for a Christmas slasher film. that dealt with a grandfather who was at Christmas dinner. The camera goes up to the attic and a mousetrap gets a rabid rat, and the blood drips down into his red wine at dinner. He drinks it, dresses up like Santa Claus to, to play around with the kids, but then goes nuts and then starts killing the entire family. And so for me, Axis has kind of always been there. And unfortunately, I have to figure out a way of getting that footage so I could throw it on a DVD at some point. So, that's and then I work at a storage facility, and even though this is a different storage facility that I work at now, that's where the idea really came about. And it wasn't even called, I think it was just called something like Storage Unit Slasher or something like that, or Massacre or something. It was just about a vagrant that lived in a storage unit. And I've always loved the Silent Night, Deadly Night films and Scream, and figured if I could kind of put those together to make this, then I have something. And once I kind of introduced that Santa Claus killer, the script just came right to me. So what are your origins on Axe Massacre?
Okay, so a little similar but also different. I created the Santa Slasher, which was my killer, in 2003. I had decided I wanted to make a movie, a horror movie, and I was a big Halloween fan. And I thought to myself, all right, I need a gimmick. Horror movie, the best horror movies out there have gimmicks. And I go, what can I do? Well, let's start with Halloween, which was one of the best slashers. I'm like, all right, so masked killer in Halloween. All right, well, I like masked killers, so done deal. I'm going to have a guy in a mask. Obviously, where do I go from there? And I go, a lot of the most famous slasher movies have like a holiday theme to them. There's Friday the 13th, there's Valentine's Day, there's fucking Uncle Sam, for Christ's sake, and yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I go, all right, let's just fuck around with Christmas and find out, because I thought to myself, what's the most wholesome of the holidays? And I thought Christmas. I go, what's the worst time to be murdered? Probably on Christmas. So that was the origin of it. I'm going to do a Christmas themed horror movie. That was the sentence I formulated, and that was the pitch I'd tell people: Christmas themed horror movie. Now, after seeing Silent Night, Deadly Night, I go, okay, because I love to do research and see what else is out there. And I believe like maybe Santa's sleigh might have been out at the time. I don't know. But I go, all right, one thing I'm not going to do, because I noticed everything, all the killers are the same. They're just normal looking guys with fake beards that are pushed down into the neck area. And then, they walk around and kill people. I'm like, all right, my guy is going to go the distance. He's going to put some effort into his costume. So he has this mask with these goggles. I don't want anyone to see his face. And I wanted him to actually look, inhuman. I didn't want people to, and I wanted him to talk. I wanted him to be a silent slasher. So I go, all right, a mask is probably a good way to go. And I using Michael Myers as the template, my Santa slasher character. I go, okay, you're a professional murderer. What sort of shape would a professional murderer be in? Probably fucking buff. So I wanted to go for a Superman sized bad guy. So I have this bodybuilder in a Santa suit with a mask and everything, and that was how I developed the idea for the killer. And then the story kind of just unfolded that family in a house, killer in the woods type situation, but set in Christmas and everything. And also around the time I wrote the script, I think, in November, and I had planned to film in January, so it was going to be wintry. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to have snow anyway. I live in New Jersey at the time. Why not? So that was where it all kind of just headed towards, in that specific direction of mass killer on Christmas in snow. And I like the idea of, blood and snow, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of winter-themed horror movies, so that was kind of it for me.
Blood and snow is just beautiful. I mean, when you just have just that white patch and just blood sprays on it, it just looks gorgeous.
Also, atmospherically, if you've ever been in the snow, you notice everything is quieter. And that is haunting, in my opinion. If you've ever driven through a city when it's snowing out, that city's dead quiet. No one's going anywhere. And so it's weird walking through the city at night when there's snow everywhere. It's weird walking through a forest at night when there's snow everywhere, because now you can see everything. You see the ground and you see the moonlight reflecting off the snow, and it creates this twilight effect, and it's very haunting. So that was kind of where the idea and the obsession with Christmas came from for that particular character. And yeah, just big giant bodybuilder with an axe. Oh, and again, the title came from the very same thing. I go, all right, well, what am I going to call it? Am I going to call it Christmas, like John Carpenter's Christmas? No. So, or I'm like, that's stupid. What else is there? And I was going through, Christmas songs and Christmas phrases, and I kept settling on Xmas, 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 and I'm like, well, what happens in my story? He murders a bunch of people in a massacre sequence, and I like the idea of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think having the word massacre in the title was a good way to draw people in. So I go, Axe Massacre with Xmas carved out of it. And I'm like, aha, I'm a genius.
I'm the only one who has thought of this, because there's another short film on YouTube where it's just the letter X and then Massacre. And it's another Christmas slasher film.
They'll be hearing from my lawyer.
That's right. And mine too.
We'll do a joint lawsuit.
Yeah.
Class action.
Yeah, because I was thinking with Xmas that it would just be one. I didn't want to totally say, well, how can I offend somebody by kind of desecrating Christmas or even like an abbreviation for Christmas? But it's like, what would catch somebody's eye and they'd be like, oh, how dare they do that? How dare they, do that type of thing? And then maybe
my mom had a huge problem with it. She goes, why do you feel the need to ruin Christmas for everybody? And I'm like, because you said that. Because you said that. That's
you're
exactly
the guy.
right.
You're the guy who's going to ruin Christmas for literally
and I said that
billions
too.
of people.
I felt like the Joker was like, and I'm going to be the one to do it too. I'm going to ruin Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good title. What I noticed from these types of titles is if you go onto something like Amazon and if you type in, so I think yours would fit into this, is like if I type in Xmas, 1,000 compilation CDs come up of heavy metal bands playing Christmas music. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not as brilliant as I thought I was with that title, because it's oh yeah, an axe is a guitar. Yeah. So that's what these are focused on, are these guitar players. So, okay, all right, maybe I'm not as smart, but it's and the one good thing that your film has is, excuse me, because it's New Jersey and there's snow, that looks great. Mine is Vegas. We don't get snow, we get slush. So unless I want to go in way up into the mountains, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away, which is fine, then there's legitimate snow. But here it's just slush. So in Xmas 2, I point out the Sarah character, when she's kind of telling her story, she mentions, oh, well, it is Las Vegas. So it's like, you're not going to get snow.
I got lucky with mine because in my short film, we shot at my parents' house. We actually filmed the short that I'm referring to, and you'll have linked here, I actually made in 2008, which was a remake of my original short film from 2003 that I had, or 2004 that I had made. I had done a 30-minute short film for Axe Massacre in 2004. We shot, like I said, in January over my Christmas break, and that was a 5-day shoot and everything, and it was on YouTube for a while. But when I started writing the Axe Massacre feature script, I realized, oh, well, I just spoiled the ending in the short film, so I'm going to remove that short film from the tubes of you, so no one knows how it really ends. And then I go, well, I still want to do something with it, so I decided to make a new short film where I remade a portion of my original short, condensed the story, and made the version that's currently on YouTube now. And when we did that, again, we shot I want to say a week before Thanksgiving in November, but my family has had a Christmas tree that's literally been up in our living room for 30 years. So all I had to do was just convince my dad to go, Dad, can you just put the Christmas shit out? He goes, I didn't even need a reason. And he just ran, took down all the Thanksgiving stuff and just put out all the Christmas stuff out. I'm like, perfect. And that was one of the goals of my short, was I really wanted to embrace the aesthetic of Christmas, the colors, the lights, the cheer of it all, visually, how everything just looks rosier and more golden and beautiful, and then just spray blood all over it,
Right. Well, just like snow, blood looks great on Christmas trees. So hitting those
right.
flashing...
Unfortunately, the one thing we did not have when filming was snow. It was bitter fucking cold, but it hadn't snowed yet. And I will say this, and I'm very angry. I used to work at a costume store, so I got discounts and everything. And my boss said he had a snow machine that I could rent, so I rented it from him. It did not give me snow. It felt like we have a scene where our character, one of the mothers, is driving through the snow and her windshield wipers are going. You see the snow hitting the window. Look like she was driving through a goddamn car wash because it was just suds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the scene that's in the film?
Yeah, it's in the film. But if you're looking at it and you're actually stopping to pay attention to what's actually happening, it's just suds. It's just
That's
so
funny.
Yeah, and I was like, God damn it, I wanted snow. What is this? So I was really annoyed about that. But, you know, unless you really pay attention, now you probably will if you're going to go watch the movie. But
I did not notice it, and I've seen it twice.
It was a very soapy Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even notice that because I guess I was focused more on her and what she was saying.
We had some iced over snow that was on the lawn. So when she arrives, you can kind of sort of see leftovers and remnants of it. But when she was driving, I wanted her to be driving through a snowstorm, because that, you know, she's drunk and she's nuts, and just to show how much of an unfit mother the character was. So yeah, we wanted to have that going. But once I realized how the snow was falling, like, oh, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to film with like just like farting soap all over the actors. So I quickly put the kibosh on that.
Well, look,
originally it would have been awesome to just have, you know, flurries coming down in that confrontation outside.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, fooled me. So I guess, you know, yeah. So you did your job. It worked. So
ADR really helps.
Yeah, it's true. We'll fix it in post. So
right,
as they say. So no, I did notice it does say the holiday horror classic.
I got ahead of myself.
Yeah. So is this the holiday horror classic?
I would say so. Just because I know that there are Silent Night, Deadly Night fans out there, but no one gets raped in my movie. So I'm one up on that. Yeah. Also, I always had a problem with Billy's motivation. I don't like the idea of, because he has PTSD from what happened to his mother and then being abused in a nunnery. I mean, I could tear that movie apart, and I don't want to right now, but I feel that with my movie, any horror fan can watch Axe Massacre on Christmas and not get offended. It's just very straightforward. Killer comes, murders people on Christmas, happy Christmas music plays, he takes a cookie at the end and he leaves. If that is not the definition of a classic situation, I don't know what is. So maybe I was ahead of myself at the time, getting a little, you know, high on my own farts, but you know what? It still applies.
Yeah, I am a huge Silent Night, Deadly Night fan. The first film, huge. Probably even more of a Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 fan than the first one, because
I just want to see a Garbage Day movie, honestly.
He's been trying.
Really? So, he just wants to do a Garbage Day movie? Because that would have just been awesome. I've done garbage movie parody posters, and I would love to just do a movie where a guy goes nuts on Garbage Day. Like every Wednesday, the killer is out there and he's going to murder somebody.
Yeah, they don't put the garbage cans out far enough or back enough. Or
it could be anything. I don't even know what his reasoning would be, but I just want to see that scene reshot in a new movie. And I know that there was this Everyday Day channel where they were doing like St. Patrick's Day, and they literally redid it shot for shot, but the guy was in a different outfit every time. It's really funny. Like that scene where it goes Garbage Day, they redid it each time, but it was a different holiday.
That's funny.
Yeah. 420.
Yeah. I can only imagine that. So,
yeah.
You know, yeah, Earth Day.
That was one of them. It was Earth Day, Garbage Day, Back to the Future Day. I didn't even remember, there were so many, but it was funny. St. Patty's Day was definitely one of them. A leprechaun shot him in that. But, you know, I would love to just see a Garbage Day movie. I don't know what the hell it would be about. And if the guy who played, what was his saying? It wasn't Billy. It was the other one.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite films, and I can't believe I'm blanking.
Bobby.
It's
Randy.
I'm dying here. Billy and I'm so embarrassed that I'm blanking.
Well, he wants to come back and just do that, a Garbage Day movie, unrelated. I'll make that.
Yeah, I know that he wants to make a film with that character, or he's been trying.
No, not with the character. It just
has to be Garbage Day.
Just Garbage Day. He can play that character, but it's not that character.
Well, there is a fan film for you right there, so you can
Right.
hire
Well,
him.
no, it'd be original at that point. He can play that level of crazy, and he could even act the way that he did back then, which is, but I want it to be a comedy as far as I'm concerned at this point. It'd just be a fucking bonkers ass thing.
And so with your film, 12 minutes. Now you told me with the fan films that you don't like the 15 minutes or over. Is there more story to this? Because 12 minutes is pretty short.
Oh yes. Actually, in the feature length script, we delve with the custody battle. There is basically, in that particular story, the father buys this house earlier in the year, and he's still moving into it, and he's coming from a very sloppy divorce where he was awarded sole custody of his kid. Now, I'm going to point out, for a father to be awarded sole custody of the kid, the mother has to be really fucking bad in today's courts, So he's trying to start anew. His sister and brother-in-law come to comfort him, and they bring their kids. So there were other characters that weren't featured, including a college-age daughter and a mid-20s son and his girlfriend. So more cannon fodder, obviously. Then there's a bit of a twist involving some of the townsfolk and everything like that. And you kind of find out why everything is happening. And it's a pretty nuts and crazy story. So I did not want to give all that away in just 12 minutes.
Right. Because
the kills were pretty badass. Actually, the kid kind of buys the farm a lot earlier in the movie separately, and has a horrible scene happen to him. The massacre sequence is still a massacre. Like, the movie earns its title with the massacre, but there's also like the one girl who gets away, who she wasn't featured in the short film, and so there's the chase through the woods and all that. So there's a lot more to it and a lot more meat on that bone.
So will we ever see a feature, or will it just stick as a short?
If I get a funding, I will do it. I need money, and I need a cabin, not a cabin, but a nice chateau in the woods somewhere.
Okay. So there's that to look forward to. So hopefully, fingers crossed on that one. Now I want to ask you, so because you mentioned like John Carpenter music and stuff like that for the fan films, which you wouldn't expect to make any money off of or anything like that. What about the music that's in Axe Massacre? That the
I
holiday
actually made
music?
that myself. I don't do music, but I actually managed to get away with making music for Axe. I used a lot of loops, but it was all original. So I technically did compose that score. So that is 100% mine.
What about the songs that are in it?
Oh, I have to do licensing in order to get those songs. I do. I love the idea of getting murdered to Jingle Bell Rock. And I thought about which one I wanted to be. I thought, do we do Let It Snow? Do we do White Christmas? And I'm like, Jingle Bell Rock is a great song to get murdered to, I think. Now, in the feature, that's not there. That would probably be, I believe in the feature, we actually only use the original score. But just for the short, I thought that was just like a good way. And I always felt that using cheerful music for horrific scenes is a good way to have people go, oh, shit. Because when you're watching a movie, especially if you're doing if you have the money to afford the effects, you don't really got to worry. And you can have whatever score you want. But when you don't have the money to afford the effects that you want, you need other ways to rope people in. And since I wasn't showing as much as I wanted to, I felt having the Jingle Bell Rock in there was a good way to have people perk up and go, well, great. Now I'm going to think of a whole bunch of people dying next time I hear this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I excuse me. Whenever I'm blanking on the name of the song, but the song that Tarantino uses in Reservoir Dogs when
Stuck in the Middle with You.
Yeah. Whenever I hear that song, I think of the cop being sliced up.
Yeah, and I defy anybody to watch my short and then not want to have an axe in their hand when they're listening to Jingle Bell Rock this year.
See, for Axis 1 and 2, and now even part 3, is I just told people we're not using anything that might have a problem. So I looked up public domain Christmas songs. So like
and that's fine. That's a great way to go also, because I'm assuming you're trying to profit from your movie, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. If you're not going to profit off of it, then yeah, I guess go wild. So yeah.
And that's the freedom when it comes to now. Axe Massacre isn't a fan film; it's an original short. But I had no intention of profiting from that specific short film. That was just a filler, really, a time filler. So I just decided, screw it, do what I want. This is proof of concept, you know. But yeah, if you are gonna just make something for the sake of making it, do whatever the hell you want, honestly.
Right. Yeah, because it gets a little because I even noticed that the little kid in it is actually playing with like Marvel toys. I think it's Venom and
we had
Green Goblin, I think.
It was the Thing. Well, he had the Thing model that he had to put together, but it was actually my stuff. And then he had, I believe it was a Spider-Man 2099 doll that he was playing with, and there was a Mr. Fantastic action figure, a whole lot of stuff.
But since you're not going to profit off this, it's okay.
Yeah, just do whatever the hell I want.
Okay, because that's always been weird to me. Is why can you get away with showing a car, but you can't get away with showing a Pepsi bottle? It's like
because the car itself doesn't have a TM next to it, but the Pepsi bottle does because the logo is there. It's really weird. I don't know. It is weird. You think you bought it, you could do whatever the hell you want with it, but some people don't want you drinking your sugar water.
Yeah, you think that people would also want promotion. So it's even if it is a horror film or whatever, you know, what does it matter? But they get really weird about that.
Well, they had to digitally change the ads in Times Square for like Spider-Man and for Captain America in the very first movie because, you know, they weren't permitted to show certain things. It's really strange.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But all right, that just means that people wear just solid color shirts and they eat Snackers bars and Dumpy Way and you know, stuff like that. So
well, I prefer to reach out. Like this shirt I'm actually wearing is a Psycho Bunny shirt. Years ago, I had found this shirt at a store and I go, what is this? And I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. So I reached out to Psycho Bunny and go, hey, you guys want to do cross promotion before they got big? And they sent me like a whole bunch of shirts and a tie and stickers. I'm like, yeah, free promotion. So for a while, I had some people wearing Psycho Bunny shirts in my stuff.
Nice. See, yeah, that's one way of doing it. Yeah. Especially if you like know people in a band or you know somebody that's made something. Yeah, you can easily get away with that. So that's as long as you get their okay with it. So, so now I've noticed, and I think you even have it. Yeah, you got it right down there too. So, I saw at the beginning. It's Chris R and then your last name.
Yeah, Chris.R.Notarile.
So now, why is that?
Because it makes people annoyed.
Caught my eye.
That's the thing. I want people to read that in that way. And someone says, oh, it's Chris.R. And someone's going, no, it's Chris.R.Notarile. And I've even made fun of myself in that I did a Freakazoid fan film where Freakazoid came to my house and talked to me. And he goes, Chris.R.Notarile, how are you? I'm like, I'm scared. What's up? You know?
Yeah. But that is my name. That is how I put it. So I
was maybe it was just there to have that conversation. No other reason.
Okay, so Chris isn't Christopher, and you just put the period because it's an abbreviation. It's just there.
No. My middle name begins with an R.
So okay, that's funny. Now
I like things being symmetrical. So if there's going to be a period after the R, there should be a period before the R too.
Gotcha. Okay, so mine is John William Lee Ward. So how would I do my name? So just John period.
John.W.L.Ward.
Okay.
So I'm going to try that a couple times. You get 3 periods.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give that a shot and see if anybody notices. I'll see what they say. How now the killer. I love what the killer looks like. I think he looks great. How did you come up with that design?
The Santa Slasher mask came from 2 things. I thought to myself, one, I thought about Jack Skellington from A Nightmare Before Christmas, and I liked the idea of a skeleton. And the way they kind of drew his mouth was like stitches. So I'm like, all right, well, I want to do a stitched up mouth. And then originally it was a frowny face. And then I flipped it and did a smiley face because I said, what's the most terrifying thing you could see before you're getting killed? And I go, some asshole smiling at you. So I made a stitched smile. I did not want to see his eyes, but I didn't want to go like Michael Myers and just have black in there. I wanted there to be red. And so I thought welder's goggles with red lenses would look freaky as all hell. So I basically just went with that. I go a sock mask with stitches on it, and then these red lensed welder's goggles, which just make him look as alien as possible. And then just you see that and you're like, like what are you, man?
Yeah, because he definitely is he human because of the way he comes
Yes.
down the chimney?
No, he's absolutely human. Originally, when he comes down the chimney, he's supposed to basically create enough momentum that the soot puts out the fire, other than like coming and getting caught on fire and shit like that. But yeah, he's 100% human. He's weak and or vulnerable to, you know, certain attacks and everything. So it's not like you shoot him and he's gonna get back up. You shoot him, he's down. The thing is, he's really good at what he does. I kind of treat him more like Jason in the remake, in terms of how efficient Jason was, that he had like traps set up everywhere and he's just like running after people with machetes and shit.
Okay. So if
Yeah, he's not
somebody,
gonna walk after you. The Santa Slasher will run, he will charge, he'll grab a chainsaw. He's a fast guy.
and the official name of him is the Santa Slasher.
Yes.
Okay. So we got a name for him. Yeah, that's in the credits. I do remember that. Yeah, the Santa Slasher. And so if he was to get into a fight with somebody and somebody pulled the hat off and the ski, you know, that the nylon stocking off of him, he would just look normal. He'd just be like no scars,
Just a
no
regular
like
square jawed dude. He does have a throat slash. In his origin story, he used to talk a whole lot. And one of his victims grabbed an ice pick and cut him. And so he, you know, was rendered mute, and he learned from that, and he decided to start masking himself up now, because as a way of like visually showing that, you know, he's not going to talk anymore.
Okay. And now you mentioned like the original Halloween and stuff. What are some like Christmas themed influences that you thought of while making this?
We definitely want to do the leave a cookie out for Santa bit. I love the idea of him just coming at the end after murdering everybody and he gets the cookie and walks off. I think that was definitely something that needed to be there. The idea of him coming down the chimney, I thought, was also, you know, important. You can't just have him kick open a door. This is the Santa Slasher. He's got to make a goddamn entrance. And then in the feature, he actually has a sack full of weapons. He carries, you know, his axe in one hand. In the sack, there's machetes, there's a chainsaw, there's
Nice.
knives. Like he does come prepared. So I wanted to go with as many Santa motifs as possible. We don't have reindeer and there's no sledding. That's like the one thing. I was like, nah, he'll walk.
Does it make his car up like a sled?
No. He lives close enough that he can just, you know, walk on over and do his damage. He does have his workshop though, which is basically like this, not an underground bunker, but kind of like a sub-level basement type shed where he, you know, does evil shit, like, you know, sawing up bodies and crap like that. But yeah, it's not like he has, you know, his North Pole. There's no elves. No one's gonna come running out with a little green hat and fake ears, and it's just him. He's a solo act.
So if he owned a car, would it be like the Volkswagen Bug, and he'd have like the antlers on the doors with like the nose on the front to look like
No,
the reindeer?
I see him driving a pickup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if during regular day, this guy's a big dude. He's gonna have a big truck.
So what's his day job then?
I don't know, probably a coal miner.
Okay. Well, that takes.
He lives in a rural area, so his day job is probably not doing anything that is you know, behind the desk. He's a big burly guy.
So you just mentioned that he lives close enough to where he doesn't need a car. So did he focus on this house because of that reason?
Yes, the house itself plays a significant part of the story as to why they're being victimized. And it's not the people in the house, but the house itself. The house is a history, and the story focuses on how basically when you're taught things as a child by your parents, you take it as fact. You don't question that shit until you come of age, and then internet, books. Well, imagine if you didn't have that, and you can not only just really focused on what your family says, you know, that's your way of life, that's your moral compass, and then you can easily get manipulated. So that house plays a factor in his family's history, as to why it's the target.
Okay. Because I noticed that there was, it seemed like there was, because you mentioned Halloween, so now I see that. But I was thinking while watching it, the original Black Christmas was kind of thrown in there.
Only just well, there's no incest involved in this. No one's living in the
Uh,
walls of the house.
well, I'm thinking original, not these two remakes. Just more like the camera shots of him kind of like walking to the house, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, actually, the cinematography for a lot of that was actually influenced by Mad Men.
Oh,
the horror movie Madman Mars. There's this great shot.
Yeah, own it. Yeah,
foot shot of him walking where he's swinging the axe by his feet. I did that in my original short. I thought that was really cool. But some of the cinematography was actually more inspired by Madman and Halloween. And I guess you could probably say, sure, Black Christmas from that. But I wasn't thinking of Black Christmas when I went into this.
Okay. Yeah, Madman's a great film. I love it. It's very underrated.
Yeah.
So a great triple feature on that would be Friday the 13th Part 2, The Burning, and Madman. I think would be a great triple feature to have.
Yeah, definitely.
All similar stories. In fact, I think they're all taken from the same thing. They just changed the names. So, now I'm done with my questions while I was watching the film. So I'll get to the ones that I sent you here. So we already talked about, like, would this be a feature, and how did you make the film? What was its pre-production time like? So what was that once you came up with the idea and everything? What was pre-production?
For the original short film from 2003, I had basically about 2 months to get it all together. I was casting through Craigslist at the time. I auditioned people at my school. And then, I had access to a location from a previous movie that I worked on with somebody else who owned the house. We went there and we shot and everything. And we filmed the whole thing in 5 days. But the one that's currently on YouTube, I filmed the whole thing in a night. So
really?
basically, yeah, no, everyone got there at around 4:00 in the afternoon. Sun was down by 4:30. And I think we wrapped filming by about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, give or take.
Oh, wow. I would have figured it would have been all night. Okay.
No, if you can't get people home before 1:00 in the evening, what are you doing with yourself?
Oh, wow.
These things should go by fast. And then it did. Everybody was already off book, and I already had, at the time, it was 2008, 2009. I had about 4 or 5 years filmmaking under my belt, so it was a lot easier to get people where I wanted them to be. I wrote the script basically in a day because I was just shortening up scenes. Everybody who was in it, I already worked with before, and they kind of knew how I was going to gun it and run it. So, and I already done a feature film by that point anyway, so it's pretty easy to just get it going.
So then on that day for the production, what was that like? Was it 1 take, 2 takes? Was it just, like you said, just gutting it and then?
We spent the most amount of time, I think, with the dialogue, getting everyone to say it right. But again, the people I was working with were really good. So I really only do about a maximum of 5 takes with a person. Because again, this isn't, these are trained actors that I know and I can trust and everything like that. And then the Massacre stuff, that may have taken a little bit longer because you're lining up the shot where you don't want to see ahead, and you want to make sure, because that was a real axe, by the way. So we're trying to swing that axe and make sure that it's coming down and not hurting anybody. And my parents have a Victorian house from 1890, so we don't want fucking grooves in the wood, shit like that. So, that probably took a little bit longer. But yeah, it was a very quick shoot. I mean, it was a 12-minute movie. So, yeah, I would say shooting the whole thing in about prepping by 11. Yeah, that's 7 hours. I think that was appropriate to do.
It's funny when you mention a real axe, because with Axemas is my lead, Ashley Campbell. She was afraid of the real axe. We had 2. We had a fake axe that Miranda Dudley, my effects artist, made up. And then there was the real axe. And I wanted the real axe because Tom Savini has said, you have to have the real one to, like, hit into a wall to show its weight, that it's a real thing. And then you use the fake to hit them with. And so I said, no, we have to have that. And you can actually, if you watch the film, you could see the shots that she did not like using the real axe, because either she's holding it upside down or it's like far away from her, and then the fake axe is up like this on her. So there's all these, we kept telling you, it's okay, we know it's a real axe, but it's dull, it's okay. And even on part 2, she was still a little paranoid with it. So because that,
I had that. I did a Batman short where the Joker puts a knife to Alfred's neck, and the guy playing Alfred was deathly afraid of knives. And I'm like, use it, go with it. So no acting required. He's got a knife. He's like, please, like he's just freaking out.
Yeah, at times you just got to use the real thing and just be careful. So it's because it looks a lot better. So then what was your pre-production time like?
I had already had the suit. I literally had everything. So there was no apart from
I apologize. I meant post-production. I said pre-production by mistake. Post-production.
A day.
Okay.
I did the whole thing in a day. So I went home, I logged the footage, and then I woke up the next morning and I edited everything, and I had a rough cut, like, you know, before lunch or dinner. And then I already had music that I had previously recorded. So that one was just really easy. It was very easy to assemble because I was just putting in everything, and it was just a matter of, you know, getting the right feeling, lining up the music just right. And I did remix a couple of my tracks to make it a little bit more brutal. But yeah, that was one of the more painless shoots that I had done.
Okay, good. And do you use, because this is such a fast shoot, I mean, do you use storyboards on this, or
No.
a shot list, anything like that? Or
no. I barely use storyboards. Every now and then I may draw like an angle, especially at the beginning of filmmaking. For me, I would draw like, oh, I want this particular shot, but everything is just in my head. And then when I'm like there in the moment, then I think of like the cool stuff, you know, but the movie's already been edited in my head before I even set foot on set. So I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, because there's one shot in there that almost looks like it could have been storyboarded that I really like. It's the one that sticks out to me, is where spoilers, the mother gets killed, and at the outside the house, and I think it's the camera's looking through the windshield of the car.
Oh, and the blood hits.
Yeah, I really like that
not
shot.
storyboarded. That was just I go, well, we got some blood, and you know, a car, I could just wash the car off really easy, which is funny because I actually took the hose and sprayed the car, but it was so damn cold it just turned to ice. Like I left the water on the car that night and didn't bother to wash it, so the car was iced over the next day. But no, I'm just like, well, I don't have any money to do the actual head lop off, so let's just throw some blood on the car. So I was sitting in the camera in the driver's seat. I go, and they just like right on the dashboard, and that was it.
Yeah, because it looks good, because as he swings down, the blood hits the windshield. And one take.
Yeah, one take.
Yeah, because I guess under your circumstances it would have to be.
Yeah, thankfully my ex is a horror fan. Actually, she's like, I got this. So she knew how to throw the blood right.
Yeah, it looked really nice, and that's why I was thinking like, oh, that almost looks storyboarded, because it looks, it's a little bit of a kind of a complex shot there. You know, it's you know, it's something where it could be, you know, the axe may not swing down at the same time that the blood goes, because you want to give it that second.
We did a couple of practice runs, so like we could gauge how the guy was going to swing the axe, and then we're just like, all right, once we had the motion kind of revved up, 1, 2, 3, and then, you know, that was it.
Nice. Yeah, that looks nice. So, you know, when people watch it, definitely watch out for that, watch for that scene. So, and so I guess technically, so in this case, if you don't plan on making money off of this, it hasn't had like a proper distribution, right? It's just been YouTube.
No, just because, well, that's just that basically is a proof of concept short film. So the goal is to, you know, was to show that to somebody and go, hey, this is what the guy looks like. This is the movie and everything. We can make it bigger with more money and make it better. You in? And then have them go, why, yes, let's do it. And that's it.
Yeah. Anybody ever reach out?
I was developing that one for a while, but unfortunately, you know, the game, you're working with people who say that they can do one thing and then they waste your time and say, oh, I'm sorry, something fell through, I couldn't, or I'm a liar, you know. It's rare that you ever get them just straight up be honest and go, no, I lied to you for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I could see this being a feature very easily. So
it could very easily be a feature. It's just, people who I have met have just not been capable of putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So hopefully, I mean, so it's on YouTube, and does it still get a lot of hits, a lot of views? Do people
I think
comment
every
on it?
Christmas we get, the annual views coming in. We're like, oh my God, this is cool or whatever. But it falls by the wayside of my other, fan films. Like every Halloween, I'm always getting my Halloween shorts and all my horror stuff drudged up. And I do share it every year because I do 31 days of Blinky Horror. So I kind of just do that, where I just replay some of my greatest hits on my channel for the month of Halloween or month of October.
Is anything up on Tubi that people can watch, or is it all on YouTube?
It's all on YouTube. I do have some stuff on some streaming services. Some of my original stuff, like I did a series called Frenzy and a vampire short called Turned and a horror movie called Sugar. And they're up on, I forgot what it's called, but you have to pay for that. Just watch it for free in my channel. It's okay.
And so since the release of this film, of Axe Massacre, and then a lot of your fan films, what has happened to your career as you keep making more and more?
By this point, it's just, I'm happy to know that my reputation precedes me, so that I don't have to do a whole lot of explaining as to who I am with certain people. For example, if I'm trying to reach out and get a new actor on board, I can literally just send my link and go, this is me, check me out. And then like, oh shit, yeah, let's do something. Even when I wanted to get like an alumnus like Michael Edwards in my Skynet movie, I didn't have to try really hard to convince him. I just showed him my other work and he goes, okay, cool. You're not some idiot with a camera in his backyard. You're putting some effort. Now, granted, I film at my house all the time, but that's irrelevant. The point is, it doesn't look like it. It looks a little bit more on the professional level, and that's where I'm going with this and everything. So I guess the only next step from here would be to get those people with money and go, hey, you're the guy who does the thing, right? I go, yes, I am. And I go, well, I have some money. Can you do my thing? And then I go, yes, I am. Give me your money.
And now you had mentioned before about like, if you could clone yourself. Well, one of my questions here is, do you prefer to work independently or with others? So I guess
I like working with actors, but I've had a very hard time working with crew. Every time I work with, let's say, a cinematographer, I have a very hard time getting what I want out of them. And I don't have any projects on my channel that were shot by anybody else because I'm not proud of them, or they're not completed because they were not worthy, in my opinion. My very first time was in 2005. I wanted to act in something, and the guy that we got to shoot it, there were hot spots on white walls, like it was poorly lit, angles that I wasn't proud of, and the whole thing was just upsetting, and I shit canned the project. And that kind of seems to be the pattern that I've had over the years, where I'm just like, all right, you know what, fuck it, I'm just not going to act in myself. I'll shoot it myself. I'll Thanos this bitch.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag, because I, even though with something like Axis 1 and 2 or Meat Hook Massacre 4 or these things where I did have a DP, I like their work. I'm happy to have them on board, and stuff, but there were definitely things that I would have done differently. And there were debates on set of how some things should be done.
The less chefs you have in the kitchen, sometimes the better the outcome,
Yeah, and it's, I did a short film, it's probably about 15 minutes, called Skull Evil, that's kind of like a sci-fi thing. And I shot that myself, I lit it myself, I edited the film myself. Some of the actors even worked as crew. And so I think when it comes to something like that, that's really small, that's like 15 minutes or whatever, I would probably shoot it myself, just to kind of
absolutely boom, boom, boom. Just do it yourself if you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Don't get a crew unless you need a crew.
Yeah, I think like something like Axis 3 and 4, I thought of maybe part 4, because it's more of a clip movie like Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. I would just shoot it myself and see what I could do, because I'm not a cameraman. I'm not, I know how to use the camera, but I'm not a cameraman. But
then my advice is become the cameraman.
Become the camera. See the camera. Be the camera. And but for part 3 is I've already asked Joe Lujan, who did the Immortal Wars series and Rust and a bunch of these films. for him to shoot it, and which he's agreed to. So I know that the film will look really good, but of course there could be the same problems of, debating on shots and angles and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
It's just, I guess it's just a mixed bag, because just how it kind of works out. So, so on here, okay, so I have,
before I go any further, I just want you to know that I got a thing that was supposed to be at 3:30. I don't know if she's here. My wife may be intercepting right now. So if you want to wrap this up in like 3 minutes, that would be awesome. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's cool. So just name me one thing that was good on the film set, and name me one thing that was bad on the film set.
Okay, so I would say the best thing on the Axe Massacre 2008 film set was probably having the amazing atmosphere that we had, having the Christmas tree and the furniture, and having that real Christmassy vibe to it. And I would say the worst was probably that fucking snow machine. It was just a damn mess. It was terrible.
And so the film can be watched on, as we already pointed out, it can be watched on YouTube. So I'll put a link to that. And lastly, and then I'll let you go, is there anything that you would like to plug, past, present, or future?
Check me out on Blinky Productions on YouTube. My channel is Blinky500. I'm Blinky500 on all social media.
Okay, there you go. And then I already have some links that Chris has sent me. I'll see if he can send me some more to where you can look at his stuff. And that's it. So I'll get you out of here so you can go to your other meeting. I appreciate you being here. This actually went longer than I thought it would, which is nice. But I know
fix
you're
it in
busy.
post.
That's right. That's right. I'll cut out a good 30 minutes. So, so great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, I guess that's it. So I will catch everybody on the next One Filmmaker, One Film. I'm John Ward, and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Thank you.